it was an extraordinary privilege to have been asked to preside over the process of healing of a traumatized people as a wounded healer. For none of us in the commission could claim to be morally superior to any of those who came before us. None of us could claim that we had not ourselves been deeply, deeply wounded by the ghastliness of apartheid. And it was just an incredible experience, sitting there and listening to people give accounts of grievous, grievous suffering. People who by rights ought to have been consumed by bitterness and resentment, and who had a lust for revenge. They were nothing of the sort. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Sitting there and listening to this white woman who had been at a Christmas dinner party when one of the liberation movements attacked the venue, a golf club, and they threw hand grenades, and several people were killed. And this woman says that she was so badly wounded, she was in ICU for weeks. And when she came out, her children had to bathe her, clothe her, feed her, because she was so disabled. And she still had shrapnel in her body. And she was saying, you know, she couldn't go through a security checkpoint because he would go berserk. And then she says of the occasion that left her in this condition. She said, it has enriched my life. Enriched my life. And you sit there. And then she goes on and she says, I want to meet the perpetrator. I want to meet him in a spirit of forgiveness. I want to forgive him, which is mind-blowing in itself. And then she goes on and says, and I hope he forgives me. And many times I would say, shh, let's be quiet. For we are in the presence of the holy. Let's be quiet. We ought really to take off our shoes, for we are standing on holy ground. It was fantastic. But of course, you had the other side as well. Those who came applying for amnesty. You could qualify for amnesty only if you accused yourself. You told of the things that you did. And you'd hear something like, we gave him drugged coffee, we shot him in the head, we burnt his body. And it takes 8-9 hours to burn a human body. And whilst the body was burning here, we were having a barbecue on the side. We were drinking beer. And you say, what could have happened to the humanity of people? What could have happened that people could sink so low? And then you realized, hey. Yes, indeed, there, but for the grace of God, go I. That the perpetrators were not demons. They didn't have horns. They didn't have a tail. They were ordinary human beings like you, like me. They went to church. They were respectable members of their communities. In Germany, it was those who called German Christians who collaborated with Hitler. So what all of this was telling us is, yeah, you and I have an extraordinary capacity for evil. Yeah, you and I. For you see, none of us could say that had we been subjected to the same conditions and upbringing that these had undergone, we could not predict that we wouldn't have turned out like them. But yes, we have that capacity for evil. But more gloriously, more exhilaratingly, you and I have this incredible capacity for good. You and I. Unbelievable. But you and I are made for goodness. That is what we have been created for. You and I are created for transcendence, for laughter, for gentleness, for caring. You and I. And so you understood a little bit why God might have lost God's copy of the divine plan. Because God deliberately did not create the world perfect. That is something that is said in so many religious traditions. Because God is looking to you and to me to be fellow workers with God. To help God turn this world into the kind of home that God wants it to be. A more gentle, a more caring, a more compassionate, a more sharing world.